Good evening. You're watching the news at 7:30 on ATV. I'm Edna.
And I'm Leung. Here's a look at tonight's top stories.
Shanghai government punishes 11 officials for New Year's Eve stampede that killed 36.
MTRC to spend $3 billion on overhauling signalling system to avoid service disruptions.
U.S. President uses annual policy speech to call for America, not China, to dictate trade rules. Shanghai authorities have punished 11 officials, including 4 district-level chiefs, over the New Year's Eve stampede that killed 36 revelers.
Investigators decided that 2 of them, a party boss and his deputy, had violated austerity rules by enjoying a lavish banquet during the tragedy.
They blamed the heavy casualties on a lack of proper security and crowd control measures. 3 weeks after a tragedy which stunned the mainland's financial hub, Shanghai authorities released an investigative report into the New Year's Eve stampede that claimed 36 lives and injured 49 others. Investigators concluded that security arrangements were not good enough, with only about 500 police officers and urban management personnel on duty in the Huangpu district area to handle a crowd of 310,000. They blamed it on inadequate prevention and preparation for the mass activity and poor on-site management, pointing out that no risk assessment was made when the countdown venue was changed. More significantly, they named and shamed 11 officials for one of the worst accidents in Shanghai in recent times. 4 officials were stripped of the Communist Party posts and fired. They are Huangpu Party boss Zhao Wei, his deputy Peng Song, Public Security Chief Zhao Zheng, and Cheng, the district's deputy police chief. 7 others, including 2 police officers, were disciplined. It was confirmed that during the stampede, Zhao Wei and Peng Song, along with other officials, were enjoying a lavish midnight banquet paid by public funds at a city-owned restaurant nearby. The investigators decided that the pair, along with 8 other diners, had also violated an austerity campaign initiated by President Xi Jinping. Shanghai Vice Mayor Zhao Bo, the deputy head of the investigation team, expressed guilt and remorse as he offered his condolences. Investigation team member Sung Ting-guang said the Huangpu district government and related departments shared inescapable responsibility for the tragedy. Asked why only a few senior city officials and police were held responsible, the Shanghai government said the law on emergencies meant the district administration was mainly to blame. Media tycoon Jimmy Lai was formally arrested by police after turning up at the headquarters today to answer for his role in last year's Occupy protests.
They rejected his request to be charged immediately and set him free after he refused to be bound by bail. Jimmy Lai left the Wan Chai police headquarters this morning after turning up to be formally arrested. He was released unconditionally after refusing to be bound by bail. While he wasn't charged, the media tycoon was informed that he was facing 2 charges, organising and taking part in an illegal assembly. He said he had asked police to charge him immediately, but they told him they had the right to make him report back any time. Lai was first arrested back in December when he and other prominent pro-democracy leaders staged a final sit-in during the clearance of the main Occupy protest site in Admiralty. The founder of the Next Media Group, which publishes the popular Apple Daily newspaper, had been a strong backer of the civil disobedience campaign for universal suffrage. He's also been the target of a series of attacks, including one earlier this month when masked men hurled petrol bombs at his home and his Next Media headquarters. Police have been receiving a steady stream of those who were prominent in last year's Occupy protests, but so far they've all been released unconditionally after refusing to be bound by bail. The MTRC has defended the quality of its services, with the number of longer train delays more than doubling last year.
It's spending $3 billion to upgrade the signalling system along 7 lines to cut the likelihood of breakdowns. ATV's Arthur Urkeola reports.
A series of signalling failures plagued the MTR last year, angering passengers frustrated by delays. The railway operator aims to make the problem a thing of the past, by investing $3 billion to upgrade its signaling system.
And the new signaling, which will be introduced progressively to a total of 7 MTR lines, that includes the Airport Express. In total, when all that is completed, it would increase capacity by around 10% versus our existing capacity.
The MTRC admitted that last year it had been fined for 12 delays that lasted longer than 31 minutes. There were only 5 such delays in 2013. But the railway company insists it's maintaining a quality service.
The on-time performance of the Hong Kong MTR is already among the very best in the world. However, having said that, it doesn't mean that we don't have any delays. So what we have been focusing on is to continue to put in resources and manpower to try to reduce the number of delays, as well as trying to accelerate recovery whenever a problem happens.
With the railway celebrating 35 years in business, concessions are being offered during the 2nd and 3rd days of the Lunar New Year.
Adult octopus holders will enjoy a fare discount of up to 50% on most domestic MTR routes. Eligible passengers who currently enjoy half fare using child octopus, elder octopus, or octopus with student or persons with disability status will be able to travel for just $1 per journey.
Since the discounts are expected to attract more passengers, train frequencies will be increased during the promotion period. Arthur Urquiola, ATV News.
The government plans to improve services for children and the elderly so that at least 40,000 women can join the workforce.
According to the Labour chief, family responsibilities are stopping about 500,000 women from taking up paid employment, which could raise living standards. Labour Minister Matthew Cheng went on air this morning to expand on suggestions in the Chief Executive's policy address to boost the shrinking workforce caused by a rapidly ageing population. About 500,000 women are unable to work because they have to take care of their families, Cheng said. To remedy the problem, the government plans to improve services for the elderly and increase full-day childcare places. These measures, according to Cheng, will free up at least 40,000 women who can then enter the labour market. Even if they work part-time, they will fill up vacancies, and the money they take home can help improve living standards, Cheng said. The Labour chief plans to expand a scheme launched in 2013 to train youths for jobs to take care of the elderly. Hong Kong also needs to import labour as it embarks on a massive public works programme. But Cheng said because of concerns that foreign labourers may threaten the livelihood of local workers, the Labour Advisory Board will handle all applications for imported labour carefully. The Development Minister has admitted difficulties in trying to get industrial operators in the northwestern New Territories to relocate and free up land for housing.
Paul Chan says enforcement officers are also facing problems in dealing with subdivided flats. Here's Arthur Urquiola.
Chief Executive Leung promised in his policy address last week to crack down on subdivided flats and step up action against operators. But his development chief told a radio show this morning that enforcement officers have problems entering premises.
Our colleagues at the front line always being rejected entry. So we have to visit it again, serve notice, and then obtain an order from the court.
Help is provided to those who lose their homes because of the crackdown.
So far, we managed to provide enough interim housing for them. And also the Community Care Fund would also provide assistance.
Chan also spoke about plans to free up more space to develop housing in the northwestern New Territories by moving industrial operators into multi-level buildings. These areas include Hung Shui Kyu and Yuen Long, where there are recycling plants and storage facilities. Chan said the government is studying how to compensate operators who are reluctant to relocate. Arthur Urquiola, ATV News.
Overseas, U.S. President Barack Obama has challenged Congress to introduce sick and maternity leave for workers, equal pay for women, and raise the minimum wage.
He also used his State of the Union address to declare that America, not China, should set the rules on trade. ATV's Joyce Wu reports.
of the United States.
The applause belied the political reality. It was Barack Obama's first State of the Union address before a Republican-controlled Congress. Facing the prospect of his final 2 years in the White House as a lame duck, the president went on the offensive, outlining what the U.S. has achieved under the Democratic Party. He also took aim at China, which is threatening to knock the U.S. off its perch as the world's #1 economy.
But as we speak, China wants to write the rules for the world's fastest growing region. That would put our workers and our businesses at a disadvantage. Why would we let that happen? We should write those rules.
America should be exporting more, he said, and do more for its workforce.
That's why I'm asking both parties to give me trade promotion authority to protect American workers with strong new trade deals from Asia to Europe that aren't just free, but are also fair.
Turning to Cuba, Obama urged Congress to lift a trade embargo against the socialist state. The president sprang a surprise late last year when he admitted that a 5-decade-old policy of isolating Cuba had failed and began the process of normalizing ties.
And our shift in Cuba policy has the potential to end a legacy of mistrust in our hemisphere. It removes a phony excuse for restrictions in Cuba, stands up for democratic values, and extends the hand of friendship to the Cuban people.
And he called for tougher laws to foil online attacks.
No foreign nation, no hacker should be able to shut down our networks, steal our trade secrets, or invade the privacy of American families, especially our kids.
On terrorism, he claimed that the U.S. and its allies are winning the fight against the militant group Islamic State, or ISIL, which has seized large parts of Syria and Iraq.
We are 15 years into this new century. 15 years that dawned with terror touching our shores, that unfolded with a new generation fighting 2 long and costly wars, that saw a vicious recession spread across our nation and the world. It has been and still is a hard time for many. But tonight, we turn the page.
Obama said unemployment had fallen while the economy and stock market had risen.
This is good news, people.
But he acknowledged that improvements are still needed.
Today, we are the only advanced country on earth that doesn't guarantee paid sick leave or paid maternity leave to our workers. 43 million workers have no paid sick leave. Send me a bill that gives every worker in America the opportunity to earn 7 days of paid sick leave.
And he made a case for equal pay for women.
This Congress still needs to pass a law that makes sure a woman is paid the same as a man for doing the same work. It's 2015. It's time.
Obama also challenged lawmakers over a minimum wage.
Everyone in this Congress who still refuses to raise the minimum wage, I say this. If you truly believe you could work full-time and support a family on less than $15,000 a year, try it.
To pay for his program to lift all Americans, Obama wants to raise $320 billion from taxes paid by the wealthy U.S. elite. But this may be a road too far because of vociferous Republican opposition. Joyce Wu, ATV News.
A Palestinian man has stabbed and injured 7 people on a bus in the Israeli city of Tel Aviv. 3 of the victims in the morning rush hour attack are in serious condition. Police shot and wounded the attacker as he tried to escape and identified him as an illegal worker from the West Bank. The stabbing spree has raised tension in the region, where more than 2,100 Palestinians were killed when Israel bombarded the Gaza Strip last summer.
Time now for sports with Anne Cheng.
And we hear there's a scare for Maria Sharapova.
Indeed, but she managed to survive. The world's second-ranked women's tennis player held off qualifier Alexandra Panova to book a third-round place in the Australian Open.
World number 2 Maria Sharapova was made to work for a place in round 3 of the Australian Open when she took on qualifier Alexandra Panova in an all-Russian clash.